So starting on the back and have a strap nearby and just give some breath here to your structure. So noticing if you want something underneath the neck, it could be a rolled up blanket or a towel. If you want something under your knees, that's also an option, but really giving your whole structure some time to be supported by the floor. So it could be just this knees bent, feet on the floor variation called constructive rest, where your knees rest into each other, arms out to the side. You might even roll one shoulder blade and then the other shoulder blade a little bit more parallel with the floor. Notice how that stretches open the collarbone. So option to have one hand on the belly and one hand on the heart. You can do one, both, or neither. But for a few rounds of breath, just feeling this breath of yours. You might feel it in the inhale or the exhale. You might feel the breath by noticing a little bit of breeze on the upper lip. So see what shows up for you. You're always welcome to stay with the previous action, but if you feel ready to continue into a bit of movement with your breath, let the arms just rest to the sides of the body. You can have palms down, pinkies to the floor, or palms up. What feels best for your shoulders, upper body? With your mind's awareness or mind's eye, feel that the feet are about hip distance apart. You might even lift your toes, spread them away from each other a little, and then rest them back down. So let your feet meet with the floor a little bit so that you can tell feet are parallel, about hips distance. And now with your next exhale, press the lower back into the floor, recognizing the tailbone will lift a little. And on an inhale, aim the tailbone down so you feel the low back lifts. And move through this a few rounds of breath. Exhaling, low back into the floor. Inhaling, tailbone down. And a couple more. Exhaling, low back into the floor. Inhaling, tailbone down. Last one. Exhale, low back into the floor. Inhale, tailbone down. Now come right in between the two. Not low back into the floor, not tailbone down, but somewhere in the middle that feels like a right balance for you. And when you're ready, bring one knee in and the other knee into your chest and give a little squeeze. So it might feel nice to go a little side to side. And sometimes that feels like a little massage on your lower back. So that's feeling positive. Do a little bit more right and left. And you can even pause with the knees in the middle and do a few circles. Going one direction for 2 or 3 times. And going the other direction for 2 or 3 times. So now maybe expanding that massage on the low back to include the sides, the top, and the bottom. When you feel finished with that, one more time, knees toward the chest, hands on the top of the knees. And on an inhale, stretch your legs up to the ceiling and reach your arms overhead any amount. You can let the feet
come apart about hip distance. So now you're making the shape of down dog. On an inhale, let the elbows pull down so the arms can circle around to land hands onto the shins again with an exhale. So inhale, arms up to the place that feels like enough. On the exhale, arms circle around to land hands on shins. So you might breathe in through your nose as you take the shape of down dog, and breathe out through your mouth as you let your arms find their way to land hands on shins. So a couple more rounds. Inhale through the nose, arms and legs up. Exhale out the mouth. You might even sigh or growl as you exhale. 2 more. Inhale, arms up, legs up. Exhale, arms float down to return to the hands on the shins. Last one. Inhale, arms up, legs up. Exhale. Knees bend, hands land on shins. And another slight side to side here. Now, let the arms come down to the floor and even press a little bit. Pinky edges into the floor so that you might feel the upper arms, the backs of the upper arms, specifically the tricep zone, just gently awaken. So, not trying to agitate, but just awaken that muscle. And now, slowly as you please, let the feet return to the floor. The slower you go, the more you might feel it, especially in the lower core, below the belly button. When your feet do finally land, just giving yourself the feet hips distance apart. Arms can now come out a little bit to the sides, and let your knees go right and left, side to side. Now with the feet about hip distance or wider, take the right leg up, cross that right foot over the left knee. Let the right knee relax a little bit down. So there's perhaps a little tension. No need to force that right knee. Just let it find its natural resting place, and also flex the right toes toward the right knee to support that right knee. And here, lifting both legs toward the chest. Option is to hold the back of the left thigh, or if that feels too much, or if you just want to work more of the core, you can let your arms rest either in cactus or out to the sides. It's up to you. And feeling that stretch, specifically on the outside of the right hip, send the left leg up. And here, point and flex that left foot. Maybe 3 or 4 times, just pointing and flexing. Maybe a little circling twice, each side or each direction. And bend that left knee again, and slowly return the left foot to the floor. And now take the right knee. It's a good thing to notice that right knee can lift a little, and then draw the right knee in, and take the right leg up into the air. Feeling the back of the right thigh lengthening up through the inner and outer leg as evenly as can be, and lower the right leg down. And then drag the right heel along the floor to bring the 2 feet side by side, knees bent. Feet and legs about hip distance apart, noticing the difference between the right side and the left. And now bring the left knee in and taking that, so you're turning at the hip joint to bring the left foot just a little to the right of the right knee. And now it's nice to just circle that left foot to confirm that you've got the foot a little to the right of the right knee. So you've got space to circle your foot is a nice confirmation. Your foot and leg are all in the right place. So there's resting the left leg, but not forcing. And there's flexing that left foot just to awaken the muscles that support the left knee. And now lifting both legs toward your chest. Take the hands behind the right thigh and send that right leg up. Anytime it feels like too much, you can lower the right leg, just backing out to a place that feels good, fine. Honoring your body at all times. Now, pointing and flexing that right foot. Remember, you can hold the back of your right thigh, or if that's not available or doesn't feel right, or it's causing too much strain for your upper back, neck, you can just let your arms rest to the sides. It's a little more core. Pointing and flexing the right foot, maybe just 3 or 4 times. And now a couple of circles with that right foot. A couple to the left, a couple to the right. And when you're ready, bend the right knee to return that right foot as slowly as you please to the floor. The right foot has returned to the floor. Taking the left knee up before lifting that left foot off the knee, and then send your left leg into the air, reaching through the inner leg especially, because we tend to be a little shorter on the inner leg. So lengthening through that inner leg, outer leg equally, spreading the left toes, letting the left thigh press into the hands press into the thigh. And when you're ready, lower the left leg down. From here, let that left heel drag along the floor. So your 2 knees are bent, your feet flat on the floor, legs about hip distance. And just here, let the shoulder blades gently, it's subtle, but let the shoulder blades return to as parallel with the floor as is comfortable and available today. And now, some call this robot arms. Elbows are in close to the waist, fingertips pointing up toward the ceiling. Let the feet press down, the elbows press down, and the heart lifts up. It's a gentle press from the back of your head to the floor. So we're mainly lifting the heart in a mini back bend. You might not even feel like the spine or torso in that upper back area leaves the floor, but you can feel the effort of trying, and that's what we're after, feeling the effort of this back bend around the zone of the spine that is typically overstretched. We're sending strength right to that place on the back of the heart, the very place that gets overstretched and maybe not enough strengthening in our daily computer use oriented life. And then release that effort, let the arms come back down. Notice how that feels, and you can gently let the head turn a little left and a little right. Arms can be near the sides or they can be out a little bit. So head turns left, head turns right. Does not have to be far. Let the head come back to center. Just feeling this. Take the right knee in. Stretch the left leg out, knowing you can always return that left knee to bent, left foot sole on the floor. But here, taking the right leg up into the air. Now, if it feels like it's too tight, it's too much, bend the left leg, put the left foot on the floor. If this is feeling okay, press up through the ball of the foot. So now you've got your foot pointed, but your toes flexed. Some call this pointed. It ends up wrapping the muscle onto the leg because the effort of pointing the foot and flexing the toes is a nice wrap of muscle. So keep that as best you can. I like to anchor the arms, hands on fists, pinky edges into the floor. All of this is to help us keep the hips as stable as possible. Imagine you've got a warm cup of tea resting right around your low belly or right below your belly button. You don't want to spill it. So keep the legs strong and do 8 to 10 circles one direction. They do not have to be big. Focus on keeping minimal movement on the hips. You might find that 8 is enough. So 8 one direction, 8 the other direction. Good. Now lower that right leg. And lift the left leg up. Point the toe, point the foot, flex the toes. 8 one direction. 8 the other direction. And lower that left leg. And now one more time, draw both knees in, getting a nice squeeze here. And from this squeeze place, you can roll to the side and press up to seated, or you can extend that right leg, clasp the left knee, begin pressing the left knee away from your chest, scooping your belly in, long and strong through that right leg, and reach out through the crown of your head so you roll on up to seated. From here, let the shoulders soften. You might move your head side to side. And if you want to try it again on the other side, you're welcome to. You can lower down by using that right leg, hands clasped, reach through the left leg, scoop your belly in, and slowly lower down. And now try it again, pressing through the right leg, lengthening through your crown, scooping your belly in and up. Come on up. So now we owe the left leg one return to the floor, and we'll get that on the way back down to the floor. But for now, come into all fours, just letting your palms spread on the floor, letting your feet meet with the floor, and giving yourself a little cat-cow time. So hands can be directly under the shoulders, so the wrists directly under the shoulders, or wrists can be a little further forward of the shoulder space if that feels better on your hands and wrists. Really listening to your body so you find out what's right for today. You can have your toes curled under or your feet flat, what feels best. So cat-cow here. Exhaling. When you exhale, it's a perfect time to sigh or growl if that's the kind of day that's going on. Inhale, chin stretch away from chest, shoulders calm, tail up. Exhale, round. Inhale, belly drops down. You could bend your elbows if that helps. Give space for the spine. You want a spine that feels like a consistent curve as you round up and as you back bend. And then coming to the tabletop or neutral, give yourself a little side bend, looking to the right heel and then to the left heel. So you're giving a stretch to the sides of the neck, to the sides of the torso. Doing it 2 or 3 times total if that feels good for today. Now from this cat-cow, option is to curl the toes under, draw the belly in, and slowly lift the hips up. So you can take a good long time in this knees bent variation of down dog, just seeing how this feels. This is sometimes a challenging place to be. So hands shoulder width or even wider. Give yourself that length in the spine by sending your sitting bones up. Here, make a decision. If you want to spend more time in your down dog, you can walk your hands forward, you can lengthen the legs. But options are, you could walk your feet to meet with the hands for Uttanasana. And if it's just not a down dog on the floor day, you are welcome to do down dog on the wall. So that's always an option. If you're doing down dog on the wall, you can stand up by pressing your hands onto your thighs, and you could come over to the wall, bringing your hands onto the wall, hands about shoulder width, walking your feet back and finding that same angle where it's a little bit more than 90. So hips above heels, shoulders calm, reaching your sitting bones away from the wall. At no point should there be strain or pain, but just a sense of stretching and maybe some new muscle team going on. Also, you might feel some space for your breath. Lifting low belly toward the low back, letting the fingers and palms spread. Feeling each toe pad on the floor. Now when you're ready to come up from either your down dog on the floor or your down dog at the wall, you can return to that halfway up position. So knees soft, hands on the thighs. Feel your spine parallel with the floor. In fact, feel the strength that shows up for your neck. You can even draw the upper arm bones back away from the floor to give more of that broadness through the chest you did earlier when we were laying on the back. And now on an exhale, let your arms rest down, let your whole spine rest down toward the floor. You can even bring the backs of the hands onto the floor for a good stretch in the forearms. Let your head and neck dangle. On an inhale to come up, hands to the thighs, lengthen the spine. Come on up, even circling the arms up. Palms meet and then arms float down. Letting your eyes rest on some point on the wall about eye level for you. And feeling this sense of noble spine, the same length on the front as the back, and opening across the collarbones, and feeling your strength, the strength of the back to help support an open heart or open front. So feeling that space, maybe even feeling your breath. And now taking a stand in mountain pose with feet about hip distance apart, the toes lift and spread, the spine feeling upright, and that breath available. So just doing a couple of nerve care practice. Some call these nerve flossing. We haven't done this in a while, but taking your thumb to your index finger and making a circle with each hand. One circle. Then taking your thumb to your middle finger, make a circle. And now take your thumb to your ring finger, take a circle, that fourth finger. And then take your thumb to your pinky finger, make a circle. Keep your thumb on your pinky finger and do the opposite circle. The opposite circle continues as you bring your thumb to your fourth finger, do the opposite circle, and middle finger to thumb, keep doing the opposite circle. Now index finger to thumb, doing that circle in the opposite direction. And now taking these hands, kind of making an OK symbol, thumb with the index finger, take the pads of the fingers
toward the jawline with the pinky fingers somewhere near the ear. Just letting the thumb and index fingertips come toward each other, making this bird mask. So this is also a nice way to give a little pliability to the nerves. Not like we want to stretch them, but flossing them, giving them a little space. So when you're finished with that, let the hands glide up the face toward the ceiling and then out. Fingertips aiming up toward the ceiling, palms aiming in toward the walls, and press the palms into the walls, and then let your arms float down. So that can be some sensation. Ideally, it feels pretty good for the hands, wrists, forearms, elbows. So from here, shoulder rolls, shoulders up, back, and down. And just one at a time, a backstroke, one arm and then the other. So we do a few more of these, lifting on an inhale, lowering with an exhale. So that might slow you down a little bit, which can be kind of a nice thing. So lifting on the inhale, lowering with the exhale. And you decide how much twist you want to bring into this. Could be a little twist or quite a big twist. One more each side. Always welcome to breathe out through the open mouth, making a sigh or a sound. And now one more little arm movement here, stretching your arms out. Palms start out facing the floor, but then turning your right palm forward as you look toward that right palm. Keep stretching your arms away from each other and let that right palm turn down while your left palm turns forward. Face the left palm now. Keep stretching your arms away from each other as you continue this, looking toward the forward palm. Keep stretching the arms so you're feeling that strength and the movement. If it feels okay, that palm, so the palm that's not facing forward, it could either face down or back, a little toward the back wall if that feels good to you. And now one more each side. When you're finished with that, let the arms stretch out and up, and let the knees bend, shoulders calm. So arms strong, legs strong, hips back, hinge forward, and bend your elbows, drawing your elbows in close to the waist, and then a little bit behind you, like you're trying to balance a beach ball and hold a beach ball behind your back with your elbows. Keep that and then stretch your fingertips toward the back wall. You might even feel the back of your arms awaken. So keep that and stretch your fingers down toward the floor and forward and up. And when you come up, see if it feels all right to hover the heels off of the floor. Now when you're ready, lower the arms down, lower the heels down, and see if they can travel their distance at the same pace so they end their journey at the same time. That is not the easiest thing to do, but it's worth our time to try again. So bend your knees and stretch your arms forward at first. Feel that. And then bend your elbows in close to the waist and then behind the waist, as much as feels right in your body on this day. So it's like your elbows are trying to hold a nice, soft, squishy beach ball, not a hard basketball. So it doesn't have to be forceful, but alert. And then reach your fingertips back there. So you probably do feel some strength increase on the back of your arms. Keep that as you bend your knees. Reach fingers toward the floor, forward and up, and now hover the heels off the floor. Arms are reaching up, shoulders calm. Notice the tendency for those upper back, neck muscles to volunteer, and let them relax as much as you are able. Even as you lower your arms and heels down, see if they can land at the same time. They might. Trying it is the goods. And let everything wiggle just for a moment or two. See what wants to move. From here, we'll do a little bit of a side bend for the body. So inhale, arms out and up. Palms can meet. You can cross your thumbs here, or you can lace your fingers and just keep that index finger released, or you can keep your hands about shoulder width. So see what works for you here. And now plug in through the feet, lengthen through the legs, the spine, and the crown, and the fingertips. Lift your body up and over to the right. So keeping that length on the left side and even on the right. So it doesn't have to be a deep, deep bend. See what feels good to you. You can even let that right arm relax if that feels even better. Or you can let the right hand come to the right hip. It's important as we do side bends to draw the low belly toward the low back. You might even feel that low back getting the support. When you're ready to come up, stretch up through your crown, stretch up through your arms, whether it's one arm up or two. And just for a moment, let everything rest. So you're maybe noticing a difference from left side to right. Or maybe not. On an inhale, stretch your arms out and up. We'll do the other side. Lifting up and over to the left. So feel the toe pads meet the floor. The inner and outer sole is meeting the floor. And you decide whether that left arm stays up or lowers down. It can be a nice way to check in. Is the low belly drawing in to support the low back? So in the lateral flexion, we're doing a side bend, laterally flexing the spine. It's a great way to teamwork and support the spine by keeping the base of the spine supported. I'm even aiming my tail down a little bit, so I'm giving space on the low back. When you're ready, come on up, reaching up through your crown, through your right arm, maybe your left, and then float everything right back into a mountain pose. But you're welcome to do a little shoulder shrug if that returns you to the feeling of noble spine, a feeling of no grip. Sometimes muscles get left on after some unique things we do. That can be a way to just return to your home base, where you assess, you observe. So second time we do this, inhale, arms down, out and up. Welcome to add on. So stretching up through both arms, drawing in the belly, lifting over to the right, letting that right arm float down. For me, you can keep both up if you like. I find this helpful. So right hand on the right hip. The option on the second set is to let the knees be soft and now to round a little bit forward. So you're definitely reaching down through the left sitting bones as you lengthen through your left fingers. Letting your head rest forward, finding what's right for your neck as you stretch a little bit more on this left side. When you're ready to come up, just coming out the opposite of the way you came in, stacking all the way up. Let that left arm float down. For a moment, pause, both arms resting, spine lifting. Any little movement that feels good. You might have felt a good stretch on that left side, kind of back of neck. So other side, stretch your arms down, out and up. And lift up and over to the left. Shoulders calm. Legs alert, but you might even soften the knees a tiny bit. So knees, micro bend, and then left arm can float down if you like. And if you do float that left arm down, let it remind you to draw in the low belly. Keep the shoulders calm. You can stay in the side bend, or you can let your side bend round a little forward. I'm reaching down through the right sitting bone as I lengthen out the right fingertips. Sometimes it's a constant reminder to let those upper back and neck muscles stay calm. When you're ready to come up, stretch up through your crown, stretch up through your right arm, stretch all the way up and float that right arm down. So letting both arms rest. Doing a little observation, a little shoulder roll. Nicely done. And now stepping forward just a bit and maybe a little bit wider on your mat, just to sort of soften the structure. A twist, and you're invited to let the palms face forward in this twist. So let the palms face the direction that you're twisting to. And it feels like you're making your own wind. So let the knees be soft, still the low belly is alert. Good. And then slowly return to standing. So that might mean you still go a little left, a little right, and then coming back to standing. Here, a little shoulder shrug. And now this option to do some separate leg poses. So starting with a left foot forward, step your right foot back a little, and coming into this warrior one legs setup where the left knee is bent, left knee is above left ankle, right foot toes are turned to the right, maybe just 25 degrees. You might feel a stretch on the back of your right calf. That's a good sign, but it should not be too much. So find the enough where your heel is eventually feeling supported by the floor. If that's not happening today, you can even, there's a yoga wedge made for this purpose of settling underneath the heel, but you can also just put a blanket or a towel under the heel so that you feel connection to the ground, able to wrap the muscles around the joints and support, especially that back leg, and its feeling of strong, straight, wrapped in muscle, but not locked, just alert. It's good strength. Now when you're ready, take your arms out and up. On an exhale, you can stay with the arms up or you can bend your elbows. See what feels best for you today. If you're bending your elbows, you might even turn the palms a little forward and then in. See what's feeling good for you. Really respecting what you hear from your body or feel. And now this option of taking the laced fingers behind the head and letting the head rest into the support provided so that you can lift the heart and feel any amount of this backward bend. So the head is supported by the hands, the heart is lifting, and the space on the backside of your spine is long. Feeling that back leg strong. Now to come up, return the head to the top of the spine. Let the arms slowly release. And now lift that back heel. So the back heel is lifted, that back knee can bend. So go ahead and bend the back knee a time or two. And then when you're ready, hop that back foot forward about halfway, bring the front foot back halfway. So you're into a mountain pose once again. Give yourself any movement, balancing, feeling maybe a difference between the right side and left side. And on the other side, step the right foot forward, step the left foot back. And the feet are about hip distance, or the distance if you've cross-country skied, kind of that classic style. Let the left heel come in, the left toes turn out. About 25-30 degrees. Bend the right knee. So the right knee is above the right ankle, right foot is pointing straight forward. There's a little bit of left hip coming forward, but it does not have to be two hips squared to the front of your mat. You're just aiming that left hip forward while plugging the whole left leg into the floor. Yes, there's a stretch on the calf, but no one zone should feel overstretched or strained. So especially if that's coming up for you, you can explore. It could be just one of those medium-sized bath towels, or even a hand towel, and folded and underneath the left heel, the back heel, in order to connect it with the earth so it feels strong, sturdy, alive, supportive. That is your anchor, that back leg. And when you're ready, take your arms out and up. And you can keep them up if you like, or bend at the elbows and see how you feel. Sometimes our elbows are pretty forward, so sometimes just like a half an inch back so that your arms are just on the edge of your peripheral vision. Sometimes that takes a little more musculature and can feel like a back strengthener, heart opener. Find what feels like enough for you. Check that that back leg feels sturdy and you also feel stable left side to right side. If not, you can always move that right foot a little to the right. And you can stay here, or you can lace your fingers. See if you can think of which grip you did last time. Typically, if you're right-handed, it was the right index finger on top. So bring the left index finger on top when you lace your hands this time. And notice if it feels really weird, you've switched correctly. So heart lifting, low belly drawing in, tail aiming a bit down, broad across the collarbones, lengthening through the elbows. Check that the upper trapezius or those volunteer muscles in the upper back or base of the neck aren't volunteering. Sometimes there are other muscles that try to pitch in, and if it's feeling like a hint of a strain or a too much, back off. When you are ready to come out of this, slowly bring the head to the top of the spine, slowly unwind the arms. Even here you can press the palms out into the walls, lengthening through the fingers, and then press the palms down, let the arms float down. Whew. And with the hands to the side, as you dismount, it can be a nice way to balance. Lift the back heel. So now the back foot is parallel with the front foot. They're both facing forward. Bend the back knee a couple of times, just bending and straightening. Ooh, maybe a little wobble. When you're done with that, hop that back foot forward halfway and bring the front foot back so your feet are parallel. Your spine is lifting. And here, eyes for a moment. No matter where the screen is, no matter where you're learning from, so you can look away from the screen here, just let your eyes find a place on the wall that feels parallel with your own eyes. So you're reminding yourself of your original blueprint and how you're restoring that, supporting that original blueprint, your noble spine. Feeling that mountain pose, maybe even gathering the musculature so you feel muscle wrapped onto the leg bones. You feel a sense of low belly drawing in. You feel space on the low back and then space across the heart from right shoulder to left shoulder. Some of us might even benefit from a little bit of a chin. It's called chin tuck, but it's not a lot of tucking. It's maybe a eighth of a centimeter your chin drops, but you're adding length to the back of your neck and you're returning your spine into that alignment. So feel that on your body, on your structure, and just acknowledging it every once in a while. Maybe catching yourself as you move through your day, sometimes walking by a storefront window that's got a reflection. You can kind of check your posture. Check, are you catching yourself like this a lot? And if so, delivering yourself more of this structural support from time to time. Very nicely done. And now a wider stance. So feet maybe 3.5 or 4 feet distance, and bend the knees. When you bend the knees, aim the knees along the same direction that the toes go. So your knees and toes are staying in good alignment. Hands to the thighs while you establish how far to bend the knees, how low the hips go for you today, that you can feel upright, balanced, stable, supported. And then bring the arms into that cactus shape. You might even start out with the palms open, feeling that space. And when you're ready, let the exhale support the arms, lowering the legs, lengthening until you end up with the palms facing each other right in front of your low belly. On an inhale, bend the knees, let the arms come forward, up, and then back to whatever starting position worked for you. So on an exhale, legs lengthen, arms lower, hands come to rest facing each other in front of your low belly. On an inhale, arms come forward, knees bend. Returning to that starting position. Move through this a few more rounds. You can make sound on your exhale. So breathing in through the nose. One more time. And from here, just giving yourself a moment to feel this. One heel lift, put it down. The other heel lift, put it down. If possible, both heels lift. And return them to the floor and let the arms float down. Turn one foot forward and the other foot forward. So you've got feet parallel, arms rested, and then step back to the middle. Just observing, how does the body feel now? And from here, taking your time to come to the floor. So you might just move through the forward fold, Uttanasana, to down dog, maybe do another cat-cow and a child's pose. So take maybe 12 to 15 breaths to meet up on the floor for a twist. So I'll run through what I've just spoken, but know that if there's something that resonates with you, you want to do, we've got about 12 breaths to meet up for a twist before we roll back down on the floor. So I'll take us through the Uttanasana, starting with an inhale, arms up, and an exhale, folding forward, knees slightly bent. Have an inhale here, halfway forward. Just give your spine that sense of parallel with the floor, low belly lifting, spine nice and long, shoulders calm, and then fold even more so you feel body on legs. Knees can still be bent here. Feel the stretch though on the back of the legs. Lift up through the sitting bones and then release down through the entire spine, letting the weight of the head help you get a good stretch. You might stay here for a bit, but when you're ready to continue, you can walk the hands forward on your mat. You can set up the feet about hip distance, so keeping the shoulders calm. Stay in down dog as long as you wish. Toes spread, sitting bones reaching up the wall, letting the shoulder blades find their comfortable place, feeling anchored on the back as the arms extend. And when you're ready to continue, you might stay in down dog a little more, but when you're ready to feel a cat-cow, you might do a little back bend, a little forward round. And then let the hips stretch back
to the heels, stretch the arms forward. When you're ready to come up, press the palms into the floor. Scoop the belly in. Little bit palms energetically dragging toward knees. They don't actually move on the mat, but coming back up to all fours. When you're ready, lower the hips down and gather the legs in front of you for a moment of spine stretching up right here. So spine lifting, collarbones lifting, shoulder blades on the back. Take that left leg forward and take your right foot heel to the outside of the left knee. Hands on the right knee, stretch up one more time. Take that right hand behind your right hip. Your left arm might wrap around right knee a little more and really lifting most of all. With the twist, unfurl. So feel from the low belly up through your spine. Feel each zone of your spine contributing. Keep the legs alive, but not gripping. Let the shoulders stay calm. And when you're ready to unwind, keep the spine tall. Unwind through the center. Stretch that right leg out. And now, hands to the sides of the hips and slightly behind the hips. Lengthen up through the toes. Lengthen up through the spine. And drag your left heel forward. So settle that left foot to the right of your right knee. Take left hand behind left hip and wrap right arm around that left knee. So settle into the ground through your sitting bones, lift up through the crown, calm the shoulders, twist to the left. Any amount here. So deliver evenness with this twist. When you're ready to unwind, follow the line on the wall that is eye level to you in this moment. Returning to the spine, stacked, feet on the floor, hands on the shins. Lift up through the collarbones, feel the strength. It's just a subtle awakening of strength on the mid-upper back. Now returning to the floor. We owe our left leg the knee bent on the return to the floor. So stretch out your right leg and hold that left knee. Scoop your belly in. As you lower down, lengthen through your crown. So drawing the low belly in, pressing that left knee away, pressing the right leg. And now once you get to the ground, draw both knees in. You might move your knees in a circle to the left and a circle to the right. And one more knees to chest squeeze. Anything else you want to do here before you stretch out? To release everything into the floor for Shavasana. So give yourself a moment or two to establish that. And I will read the poem by Ganga White. It's called What If? What if religion was each other? If our practice was our life? What if the temple was the earth? If forests were our church? If holy water the rivers, lakes, and oceans? What if meditation was our relationships? If the teacher was life? If wisdom was self-knowledge? If love was the center of our being? By Ganga White. Thank you for your practice today. Here's the sound of the bell. See if you can hear when that sound ends.
taking additional time to rest as needed here. So sometimes the 5 minutes you give yourself, or 10 or 15 after your yoga practice, can be pretty phenomenal. Thank you once again for honoring yourself, each other, and your practice.